joining me for another episode of Secular Minority. I am your host, Sunny Secular. And before we get into today's subject, I just want to bring a little announcement. The announcement is if you're listening to this on secularminority.com, thank you very much. I appreciate you listening. This is episode 7. I haven't decided if I want this to be the last episode of the season or not, but I am for the first time broadcasting this episode. Yay! Yes, I'm broadcasting it. So, for the people who watch me on YouTube, which isn't that many, but for the ones who watch me on YouTube, hopefully you'll enjoy this episode and you'll feel inclined to visit the website secularminority.com and join the rest of the family. Now, the subject for today is going to be if all lives matter, or shall I say, do all life matter? I got the encouragement for this episode from a TikToker, and you know what? I'm just going to let you listen to it. I'm going to play what she said on TikTok. All right. So let me pull this up on my phone. I recorded it, saved it, duet it. If you're on TikTok, you do understand what duet is. It's when you join someone else and you form a new video with them on the side of you and you agreeing or dancing or singing alongside them. So I'm going to play her TikTok for you. I don't know what her screen name is, Octavia, but one moment before I'm going to turn this up. All right, so I'm going to play her TikTok video. I turned the volume up, and here it is, Octavia Pearls.
Why aren't all the veterans getting their fair due if all lives matter? Why are the homeless getting pushed off the streets and where are they going if all lives matter? Where are all the services for the poor in both urban and rural communities if all lives matter? Why are children being separated from their parents at the border? If all lives matter, why are natives still disappearing and no one's talking about this? If all lives matter, why are innocent black lives being taken? If all lives matter, why are American-born Asians being blamed for corona if all lives matter? Why are LGBT clubs still getting raided to this day if all lives matter? Why are Arabs and South Asians being stopped at the airports if all lives matter? Why are men and women and children not being taken seriously when they get sexually assaulted? Did you really mean all lives? Or did you just mean you?
All right. Man, that was so powerful. Or did you mean you or people who look like you? That truly hit the nail on the head, for real. What she said was so powerful because if you really mean all lives matter, it will be all. That means black is included, Native Americans included, people from India are included, people from Asia are included. All lives is everyone. Everyone included, inclusive. But I'm not going to just throw salt on, you know what, yes, I am. But I'm not going to just talk about one set of nationality here or one set of race because we all know that there are a lot of races in the society, which is an unfortunate thing, and we are trying very desperately to combat the racism. We have allies and we're growing by the numbers, and we encourage anyone else, if you want to be included as an ally to help against racism, there are a whole bunch of organizations that you could go out and reach out to. But one thing I wanted to say, something that was not addressed in her TikTok video, I wanted to take it upon myself to bring this out, and that is when we say all life matter, it is included with the LGBTQIA community. That includes trans lives as well. Now, you can't see this right now, but I do have my notes here. And I just took some notes from the other day. It was there was a young lady who got jumped a couple of weeks ago, and it was shown on YouTube, Instagram, actually all social media. I saw it on TikTok myself. And the young lady was an African American lady, and she was jumped by a crowd of black guys, and they started to beat her up. And that's something that really bothered me, because if you're in there and you're fighting for Black Lives Matter, Black lives includes all black lives, including LGBTQIA community, including trans. It's all black lives. And me personally, we're going to get into this subject on a whole another episode. But if you all would let go of that Christian Bible that enslaved your forefathers, you would understand where most of this hatred is coming from, even amongst yourselves. And I feel like it's something that just needs to be addressed. And let me read what I have written down here. In 2019, there were 331 trans and gender diverse people killed, according to an article in Forbes.com. The article was written on November 18th, 2019, by Jamie, Jamie, Wareham, Wareham. The count was 130 in Brazil, 63 in Mexico, and 30 in the United States. Let's not forget that these are only the ones that were reported. There have been many more who have been beat up, jumped, maimed. Uh, there was a dismemberment in 2019 where this guy actually performed cannibalism on one. It's just so sad. Because it doesn't matter what a person does. It doesn't matter if they decide to transition because they feel like they were born in the wrong body. It doesn't matter if they choose not to transition. If somebody just wants to be them and they're minding their own business and not harming you, there's no reason for you to have hatred to someone else. Now, the name of this podcast, Secular Minority, it means everyone who is in a minority. It doesn't matter if you're a trans, gay, LGBTQIA. It doesn't matter if you're a different country, a different culture. It doesn't matter. As long as you're able to come together as one in unity and acknowledge the differences in our cultures, the struggles that we all go through, then you should be able to be an ally. You also should be able to have human decency for a life. It doesn't matter if it's an animal life. You perform decency when it comes to animals. A lot of people, they don't want their dogs killed. They don't want their cats killed. But then they turn the other cheek when it comes to cows, pigs, horses, snakes, possums, whatever that people decide is quote unquote okay to eat. If you love an animal, why would you eat it? And if you love your fellow human being, why would you hate it? Why would you torture it? Why would you dismember it? You will want the same thing that you expect for somebody to show to you, you would show them for somebody else. And it doesn't matter what kind of nationality they come from or anything like that. For the blacks, if you want to say Black Lives Matter, it includes all black lives, not just the ones that you deem are acceptable according to your religion or your belief or however you was raised, which if you was raised to be hatred toward your own kind, you were raised wrong. Point blank, plain and simple. And if you're not of the black Amer- African American community, sorry, I say black. You know. If you want to say African American, that's on you. But for me, I say black. And if you're not part of the black community and someone raised you to hate someone because of the color of their skin or whatever stereotypes that you may have, which there are a lot of, you were raised wrong. And I'm just here to tell you, you were raised wrong. If you weren't raised with compassion, you were raised wrong. If you weren't raised to have human decency to someone else, you were raised wrong. If you weren't raised to have empathy for someone who is less than you, meaning wealth wise, if you're richer than someone else and someone is poorer than you or homeless, and if you were raised not to have any empathy for that or sympathy or compassion, you were raised wrong. And that's all I'm going to say. Those statistics that I read earlier for the trans community, that was 2019. Come to find out in 2020, the numbers that we have for the trans community that are being attacked, there are white trans being attacked as well as blacks, but there are more in the black community. Um, for me, going into the comment section of most of these articles, I've seen people and they make very hateful comments, and I don't condone that either. But the comments that I've seen is, well, they shouldn't be trying to trick straight men. Nobody has to trick straight men. I've heard and seen from a lot in the community that straight men go into their DMs, they leave messages, they don't want their significant other to find out, they just want to keep it on the low. Nobody's targeting straight men. And if you find one that's targeting straight men, that's still not an excuse to be killed. Just like the rights that you fight for with the police, and if someone does something wrong, it's still not a reason to be killed. Do you understand? To take someone's life is a kind of psychotic trait. It's a kind of psychotic trait that you don't find a lot of people having. Now, I understand a lot of people have turned off their empathy for one another. Not sure why that happened. Maybe it's because of the way they were raised, but to not show empathy to someone else just because they're different from you is wrong. That's all I have to say on that subject. If you want to go into more details, there are Google is your friend. Google is your friend. Google is your friend. All you have to do is punch in the keywords trans people killed in 2019 and 2020. And then also you can look up other trans people who have been killed around the world. Now, for the next story, the happy story of today. Let me get to it. The happy story of today comes from today.com. I have it here on my little phone. And the article was written by, the article was June 3rd, 2020. And the article was written by R-E-E, Hines, Hines. And I'm not going to read the whole article. You can go into Google and put in today.com For those of you who are watching, this is what it looks like. Am I in the camera? Hold on. Oh, here it is. This is what it looks like. Today.com. And I'm just going to read a little portion here. It says, after months of being on the receiving end of applause and accolades, some of New York's highly regarded frontline heroes decided to return the jester to another group working to make a difference. On Tuesday, healthcare workers across the city raised their voices, put their hands together, knelt down to show respect for peaceful protesters who marched through the streets in honor of George Floyd. And I do have a picture that I'm going to include on the website secularminority.com. You could check out that picture if you want, or you could go to the today.com site to check that out. Now, speaking of the George Floyd incident, I'm not going to make this broadcast here all about George Floyd. It is going to be touch bases on the Black Lives Matter. A lot of people who have been leaving comments in TikTok and things like that, they have been saying, oh, well, Black Lives Matter is a hatred group. They hate white people. Nobody is saying Black Lives Matter goes under the same thing as all lives matter. It's included in all. But since when you say all lives matter, you don't include blacks, that is where the Black Lives Matter come from, to make you aware that you left out a whole demographic. Now, 2 years ago, no, 1 year ago, you were all, actually it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the racists were talking about build the wall, build the wall. Where was the all then? Where was the all lives matter then? Where the all lives matter when it comes to the kids that are being held in cages just because their families want a better life? What happened to all in that one? Black Lives Matter is not a hatred organization. They don't have to say black, white, Asian, Native American, because it's included in all. In all. But you always leave out blacks. You leave out blacks' history. There's Black History Month in February where you handpicked the ones that you want in there and eliminated a whole slew of other black people who have invented things, who have carried on positivity, who have built things such as schools, universities. You've disregarded all of that and only handpicked the ones you wanted. You wanted Martin Luther King, you wanted Rosa Parks, but there's a whole novel of other people that's not included in that Black History Month, 1 month out of 12 months. And even then, people complain about the 1 month. Our education system, it eliminates all black history for that, except for that 1 month, and then they put in what they want. That's not equal, that's not good, that's not right, and we all know it. It's done purposely because the less you know about your history, then the more easily it is for you to be controlled, much like religion. I just don't know what to say when a lot of people want to say, oh, it's a hatred organization. Nobody's trying to hate. Not mentioning you does not exclude you. It means that Black Lives Matter, it's included in yours. Something that you fail to realize. And since we're on the subject of Black Lives Matter and Black history, I would be totally wrong if I didn't mention the fact that at the time of this recording, it is Friday, June 19th, 2020, and it marks Juneteenth, which is short for June 19th. And I pulled up some information on the History Channel. That's kind of unusual, but no. I put up some information on the History Channel so that I can kind of pull everything together in a smaller format, shall I say. So I could give a brief history of it, but if you want to go into more disclosures, please go to history.com on the History Channel, punch in Juneteenth, or you could go on YouTube. There's a YouTuber that I like, Dear Mr. Atheist, who has changed his name to Jimmy Snow. He has an video about Juneteenth. I think it's called "Why Didn't I Know About Juneteenth" and Black Wall Street being burned. So check that out. He goes into details. I'm very grateful that he took it upon himself to go and look up this information and to share it to all of his viewers. Now, for what I've put up on the History Channel, I'll just read to you a little short excerpt for the ones who don't know about Juneteenth. Juneteenth, which is short for June 19th, marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be free. This is the quote from the history.com. This article was written by Elizabeth Nix, Nix, and it's called What is Juneteenth? So, yeah. So, after they signed the Emancipation Proclamation, Juneteenth honors the end of slavery in the United States. Now, here's the thing. Even though the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, nobody bothered to tell the slaves in the South that they were free, which is where Juneteenth came along. So let me go back here into the article so I can read it to you. It said Confederate General Robert E. Lee has surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse 2 months earlier in Virginia, but slavery had remained relatively unaffected in Texas until U.S. General Gordon Granger stood on Texas soil and read the general orders, and the people in Texas were informed that in accordance with a proclamation of the executive of the United States, all slaves were free. Can you believe that the people in the South did not find out they were free for almost 2.5 years afterwards? They purposely did not tell them that they were free, and they were working as slaves for as long as 2.5 years after they were said to be free. And so that is where the Juneteenth came from, the official Independence Day of African Americans. Nowadays, in order to keep the history going, they do still celebrate Juneteenth. They celebrate it in different ways. A lot of people, they join together with their families. They go have picnics, barbecues. They play sports, baseball, volleyball, things like that. Everything that you would normally do on the 4th of July is what they do during Juneteenth. So that's just to give you a little history about Juneteenth. That is what's going on around the web. It's viral. Even though certain people take, yeah, certain people are taking advantage of this holiday, saying that they made it famous, which is untrue. All you have to do is go to the website. All you have to do is go into Google and Google Juneteenth if you want to find out about Black Wall Street. That terrible, terrible genocide is on Google as well. And you'll get to learn a little more about Black history and why things are falling in place the way that they have now. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me on the podcast as well as on YouTube. Hi, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget to check out the pictures on my website, secularminority.com. And just to let you know, say it with me, I'm special, I'm smart, and I matter. Peace.